Call to order the 5th of June Community Advisory Board meeting. If everybody's seen the agenda, I'd like to put that up for a vote to approve the agenda that's been written for this evening.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the agenda as it's been published.
Your button. Do it again.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as published. And minutes, excuse me.
I second both of those.
Thank you. Let the minutes show that it passed. I'd also like to do like to vote on the approval of the minutes for last meeting.
He made both those motions.
You made both of them.
In one kind of sort of.
Yeah.
Why? One at a time, please.
One at a time, one at a time.
Oh, he did both, okay. Okay, I propose we vote on both the minutes and the agenda.
Aye.
Aye,
Yeah.
aye.
All right. We have, in our audience, we have mental health professional Catherine Clancy and her partner who's going to do a presentation for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me here today. And my name is Catherine Clancy, and I'm the program manager for behavioral health programs for Island County. And with me is Christina LeClaire, our co-responder who works for Island County Human Services and the Oak Harbor Police Department. Today I'm going to talk about our, specifically, the co-responder program that is run out of Island County Human Services. In Island County, as you know, we have a lot of space, and we have 3 law enforcement agencies. We have the Oak Harbor Police Department, the Island County Sheriff's Office, and the Langley Police Department. When we designed the co-responder program, we started with one co-responder, and that co-responder worked primarily for the Oak Harbor Police Department as well as the Island County Sheriff's Office. We were fortunate to be able to get funding to hire a second co-responder, and we decided to switch our model up a little bit, realizing that our geographical challenges create a lot of problems with a co-responder riding solely with officers. So what we did was we have one person now, Christina, assigned to work with Oak Harbor Police Department, and the other person assigned to work with the Island County Sheriff's Office and Langley Police Department. Both of our co-responders do respond with officers to mental health and substance use disorder emergencies or crises when able and when necessary. But they also respond by themselves and have their own vehicle to respond to referrals that come in from law enforcement regarding calls that they've received and responded to that are primarily to deal with people who have mental health needs and substance use disorder needs. And we realize that it makes a lot of sense for our co-responders to have their own vehicles to do follow-up and check on these referrals when it's deemed safe, rather than just ride along with the law enforcement officers, as is done in other models. So co-response essentially is a model where a mental health professional responds with law enforcement to and/or EMS and/or fire to these types of emergencies. Hello, Chief Slowick. And we have found that it works really well since we started with having our co-responders not only ride along with officers, but also have their own vehicle to respond and meet officers as well. Because sometimes, as you can imagine, in our county, whether it's in Oak Harbor or in the bigger part of the county, an officer will respond to a call that has a mental health crisis and it's resolved, and then gets another call for something that isn't related. That is more of a different type of call, not a mental health call or a substance use call. And our co-responders then has to ride along with the officer or is stranded at the location where they're working with the individual. So it really works well for them to be able to get where they need to go, either meeting the officer there, sometimes riding along if necessary, especially in Oak Harbor, it works well because it's a smaller geographical area. Our co-responders, being mental health professionals, can quickly assess a situation to determine needs. And the needs can really vary. The person could be deemed necessary for the person to go to the hospital and be evaluated for hospitalization, psychiatric hospitalization, substance use disorder hospitalization. It could be that they are needing to deal with domestic violence intervention. It's as you can imagine, there's as many choices for diversion as you can imagine. So they really respond well by having that expertise. We also have in our program a case manager who works for both of our co-responders and is able to do a lot of the long-term follow-up that is needed quite often, particularly if someone is hospitalized and they're being released with a treatment plan, a care plan. There's a lot of case management that needs to happen to get them set up with appointments and other things. Sometimes working with the entire family as well. So it's quite often not only the individual who the crisis originates with, but family members and others who the co-responder and case manager get involved with. So in this manner, we're able to provide diversion. And I know that Tony would agree with me that quite often these opportunities for diversion help us move the person forward in the way that they need to move forward rather than being arrested or some other maybe not ideal situation. So let's see. We collaborate with all of our partners in the community, and often it means that we're, especially if an individual is if it's deemed necessary that they need to go to the hospital, we work quite well with the hospital, or with Whitby Health, social work staff, emergency department. We also work with the EMS, fire department. Sometimes EMS will even reach out directly to our co-responders to see if they can respond to a call that they have responded to. Adult Protective Services, Child Protective Services, Island Senior Resources, to name a few, along with all of our state partners. Christina is an expert in all of the state systems, and so we're very lucky to have her. She's a licensed social worker and has a lot of experience with CPS, APS, DSHS, et cetera, all the initials, and has really had great success referring people for permanent long-term solutions. And you can see within Island County, we have collaboration with all of the different departments there. So I mentioned our partners in this endeavor for Oak Harbor include Christina, Tamara Bass, who is our case manager, and Chief Tony Slowick and his officers, who are our partners. The other thing I forgot to mention briefly is that we also realize that it's really important for our co-responders to be housed with the law enforcement agencies they work with. So Christina's office is located at the Oak Harbor Police Department, and that's where she works out of day to day. It really helps the collaboration between the law enforcement agencies and the co-responders. And that's really the basic information about the co-responder model. I brought along with me, in addition to that, just a general information sheet about what Island County Human Services offers in general, and in addition to co-responder services. And I don't think you have those. I brought them with me, and they're right up here. I will make sure and hand them out. But essentially, Island County Human Services offers the Housing Support Center for our county. So for any individuals who are unhoused or at risk of becoming unhoused, that's the central location where they need to be to get all the services that are available to them. We have a developmental disability program, that offers services from 0 to 3 and then post-education. Also the parent-to-parent program for parental support. The veterans program, we have a veteran service officer who works to make sure that veterans are getting the services they're entitled to because of their service, and also just a general veteran service programs for those veterans who may be faced with financial challenges. And then finally, our outreach behavioral health programs, which include the co-responder program and several other programs that are criminally justice-based. It's basically a criminal justice partnership with behavioral health. We have our co-responder program. We also have our Recovery Navigator program. They work very closely with our co-responders. That's a program where it is another diversionary program to help people specifically with mental health or substance use disorder needs who also have some criminal justice involvement, to work with them to move forward again in a more productive way. Many of those individuals that the Recovery Navigator program works with, our co-responders have seen first. And then we also have 3 programs in our jail, in the Island County Jail. We have a behavioral health provider, we have a jail transition specialist, and then we offer a residential substance use disorder treatment program in the jail. That's a 90-day program. In addition to all that, we have regular counseling services and case management services, an early childhood program, and youth supportive services. And that's probably enough, right? Now I'd like to open it up for Tony to present anything he'd like that I may have missed. Thanks for making it.
Yeah, sorry for being late. We've had a busy afternoon. We just had a fatality accident on Crescent Harbor, so that we were dealing with. So definitely our prayers at the police department, the city, go out to the family. But for our co-responder and our mental health partnerships, I'll just say that they're invaluable. They are things that our community really is in need of, and that we need more of these services. The connected to care opportunities that we have in this community are very limited, so we really value these partnerships that really strengthen each piece of what we do, because it doesn't take one group to solve anything, and a lot of times it takes all of us working together to get someone connected to care one time after offering them services 20 million times, right, is what it feels like. But the job is often very thankless, and we really appreciate our co-responders, and they put themselves out there. They don't make enough money, I will just say that. They definitely they should make more money, but they are highly skilled, and we're getting ready to lose Amanda, who's one of our co-responders, which is unfortunate, but we're very fortunate to have Christina at the police department. She does an amazing job, and I think the other piece is that they're always willing to come out at any time, and the mental health challenges that we're having nationally are very present in Island County. I think that we're a microcosm of what we have nationally, but I think that because our communities are so close, we see it's magnified often. Either when spin is getting out and people are going to the Haven, or people are they don't have to be our homeless people. They can be just anybody. Mental health is a challenge right now, and it takes all of us working together, and we're hoping at some point to include the fire department in some of this. Catherine and I have talked, and I've talked with the fire department as well. We need, I know the state has given us some direction that they want less law enforcement, armed people dealing with mental health concerns. However, there needs to be safety and security for all staff and all parties involved. So, law enforcement always have a piece of this, and I think that we, because we respond to almost every call for service that we're asked to respond to, a lot of times we have that initial contact, and then we try to hand them off. So I appreciate Catherine and her team and everything they're doing. It's a great partnership we have with the county, and we look forward to continuing that. So any questions that you guys have? I'm sorry, I'm a little it's a little sidetracked in my thoughts, so sorry about that. Yeah, Rachel, or, sorry. Yeah, Ryan's running the show. Sorry about that, sir.
Is two a sufficient number of co-responders?
Not at all.
What
Not
is
at
a
all.
sufficient number of co-responders?
I'll be honest, I think the challenge that I see, and this is just from my personal opinion, is you could have 50 co-responders, but if you don't have a place to take people to, if we don't have beds, if we don't have anything after that initial contact, then what do we have? I think the other challenge we have, and I'll be a little harsh, is our designated crisis responders in this county are contracted through a larger organization that uses a private company. The county doesn't have control over that, Oak Harbor doesn't have control over that, and they're insufficient for our needs. And we're trying to deal with making changes there, and that's, so I don't know, I'm not trying to be, whatever.
No, Tony's right. I mean, we have challenges, absolutely, in our mental health crisis system in this county. Number one being we have not a single bed for an individual for inpatient, other than the
Excuse me.
Stabilization Center, which is right now only open for substance use disorder detox. And it's not open, it started, when it opened, it was also, they had beds for mental health crisis, but they don't have those anymore because of staffing. So, so we really have a dearth of services here in Island County, and we're not the only county that's lacking services. But if Christina is meeting with an individual who needs hospitalization, and we have to take them out of county. So that's the only answer we have right now for our Island County residents who need psychiatric hospitalization or inpatient substance use disorder treatment, unless they're in the jail. But yeah, so that coupled with some other problems in the crisis system, and the fact that our hospital is limited in their capacity. They have no psych beds. They have no ability to hold people for psychiatric needs. It's a quick in and out, and so usually their role is to medically clear someone for psychiatric hospitalization, and that's it in the emergency department. And then, again, either Christina or the social workers at the hospital are working furiously to find a bed somewhere, as close as we can get it. There's some facilities in Skagit County, Whatcom County, but primarily it's in the bigger counties where we take folks.
I have a handful of questions. And one of them's real quick. Are we even able to service Camino Island?
We are, right now, our co-responder for the Sheriff's Department services Camino Island when she can. So, yes, they do call her out if necessary, since that's part of the sheriff's domain. So that's
Yeah.
who serves Camino Island. Is it sufficient? No. They fortunately have some better access to designated crisis responders on Camino Island because Skagit County, it just works better to have the Skagit County DCRs cover Camino Island.
And they do?
And they
Okay.
do,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
And they have a bigger mobile crisis outreach team for their, so for serious crises, there's more available on Camino, actually.
And that's good to hear that we're partnering with those
Yeah.
organizations and other communities over there. My other question was asked already. Are we adequately staffed? And that's a no.
Yeah.
So as a professional in the community, as a mental health professional as well, what can we as non-agency private practice therapists do to help?
Well, we make referrals, and that usually, actually, the referrals sometimes come from people who are stabilized, who have been stabilized, and then we reach out. So I think for our private therapists, and I know this is a challenge, if they will take the state insurance, that is the most helpful because it's the one that we can get most people on if they don't currently have insurance, and TRICARE, yeah.
So I'll give a little update on TRICARE. It sounds like those of us who serve TriWest VA veterans as of January 1 of 2025 or somewhere in January 2025, we will be grandfathered into TRICARE
Good.
because
good to know.
Tri-West is going to take over the TRICARE from what I understand. I'll make sure, Christina, you have my card as well, because I do take Medicaid as well, so I can help with those adolescents and some
Yeah.
of the others. And then, as this board, this community advisory board, how can we help?
Well, I think Tony and I are having conversations about how to be creative in expanding the co-responder program to include perhaps some members of the law enforcement agency themselves, like he said, fire, EMS, and just maybe, support the endeavors of the Oak Harbor Police Department. They're great partners with us. Tony knows our needs and is quite aware of the community's needs. And so I think that would be the most helpful, whatever Tony brings to you in that regard.
No, I would just add that, well, Catherine's being too gracious. I would just add that I think if you haven't gone down to Spin at all, I think that's a great opportunity to connect down there. If anytime you want to do a ride along, please let us know. We'll make that offer, make that available to you, and just see, some of the calls that we have. If you even just want to come in the office and have conversations with the officers and Christina or any of our co-responders or staff, we can make that, happen as well. We probably can provide some more statistical data. I know that Opioid Outreach, Recovery Navigator, there's a lot of data that's starting to come out from the Behavioral Health Human Services group in Island County, which we're a part of, and I think sharing that information with you, and then I think the other part is we're always looking for opportunities to be creative and try to be a little more dynamic. So I don't know what those might be at this time, but we're always gathering what other counties are doing, what works, what doesn't work, and I know that, for example, I sat in on this co-responder type of meeting for the Skagit law enforcement agencies, and they are clearly a year and a half behind where we're at in our evolution of things. The fact that we've got officers that are and co-responders across the entire county is better off than what they have. They've got it in two little jurisdictions, and then it doesn't go through the whole entire county. So I think for us, there might be some letters of support as we look at, what does our designated crisis responder network look like and what that might mean for the future. And really what that means for educational pieces, the designated crisis responder is one group of people designated by the state RCW who can involuntarily hold somebody for and do the evaluation and then get them beds and go for treatment or stability. The other tool to that is the court system, and then the other piece of that is law enforcement can involuntarily bring somebody in and hold them for up to 72 hours, but that's getting them into a location where they get an evaluation. That evaluation often in our jurisdiction occurs at the medical level by a doctor, often doesn't go to the designated crisis responder or that trained and licensed and certified mental health professional. That is, so that's one of the obstacles we're trying to get through, and that's because Woodby Health doesn't want to hold people in their beds and take up bed space because that's inconvenient for them, and they've got staffing needs and whatnot. So all of these things are the same problem that everyone in Washington state is facing. It's not just in Island County. And so we're trying to think of some creative ways, and do you tie, if we only know some state legislatures or anything like that, and do you tie funding to hospital funding or mandated beds or any of those type of things? I think the county commissioners did a good job getting to a stabilization center here. That is one tool, and again, that's just one piece of a voluntary treatment facility that is for 10 days or less, I believe is the number of days. So that's just one tool we have in our community. It works, but it's just one piece of that. So it is very challenging.
So is Whidbey Health actually doing those 72-hour holds?
From my experience, I'll just say that we, as law enforcement officers, will involuntarily take somebody into custody. We will take paperwork and take it to Whidbey Health, where we then call, often we try to call the Volunteers of America hotline, which is for the designated crisis responders, what the state has set up. A designated crisis responder doesn't immediately come out, and often Whidbey Health will have done an evaluation at the doctor level and release the person based off of their medical stuff. And that is per law, and I'll have to let Catherine talk, but my understanding is per law, that is legal,
Yeah.
the way the law is written.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is the way the law is written. The hospital themselves, once the person is taken to the hospital needs to be the ones that evaluate and call to get a designated crisis responder. So if they don't, then the person does not get their mental health evaluation. And I truly believe that all residents of Washington State deserve this evaluation if needed. And I understand that there's a big difference between the person's medical needs and their psychiatric needs. And it's not a psychiatric medical professional doing the evaluation. It's an emergency room physician. And so, they have other hats they're wearing, bed space, availability, experience with the individual, whatever. And so all of that plays into their decision on whether or not they're going to call. There's also, problems within the communication in the hospital system itself. They don't always call a social worker when someone is involuntarily detained by law enforcement, which seems like it would be an automatic because they could be the ones that do a lot of the legwork to get the evaluation completed. So no, it's not working well in that regard. It would be nice if we could change the law based on I think it's fairly complex too, and we could probably bring you the more relevant details about this problem, but a lot of it has to do with the designation our hospital has and what they can and can't do as a hospital because they're a community access hospital, what's the other thing? It's crisis, it's like a community, yeah, whatever their designation is, it makes it more difficult for them to hold people. And they don't have any psych nurses or psychiatrists on staff, and so that evaluation doesn't ever really occur. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it would be nice.
Yeah, I'm all about trying to figure out how to kind of make this happen
Yeah.
at some level. So if that's something we can do to collaborate, to reach out to our representatives to make sure it's hitting this coming winter in the session. It'll be a long session, so this would be the time to get it pushed in. Let's hope our representatives are reelected enough to be able to push it, because I know Dave Paul is very big into the mental health and
Yes.
would be, and this could be something I'm sure he and Clyde could get behind, as well as potential senators. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
We have
excellent. I'm on board.
Community treatment team.
No.
So there is collaboration with Whidbey Health and the DCR and SPIN and everybody else, the other first responder agencies and all of that. It's the community treatment team, is that right? Community treatment team meetings that we hold. So we do collaborate, but the system is still broken. It doesn't mean that we're solving the world's problems at every level, and we still need more. Our community deserves better. I'll just say that.
Absolutely, and I think that's the intent behind getting everybody to the table to try to do what's best for those that need the help the most, instead of having them get discharged, 36 hours earlier than they need to. If there's a way we can, support the hospital in their process as well, and get everybody what they need, so.
I have two things. One, Meg, may I please get a copy of that packet that Catherine showed? And then my actual question is the hotline what you were referring to earlier as the place that the overarching governing?
The Volunteers of
Volun-
America hotline? That is what has been designated, or 988, right?
Yeah, you can call 988 as well.
Yeah.
And that's who has contracted with private?
No, so
no.
the Volunteers of America hotline is like a dispatch center that is gathering the information and then disperses that to the, either could potentially come back to local law enforcement for immediate assistance, but it also is supposed to go to the designated crisis responder network for outreach and follow-up. The BOH, and I can't remember the, what's the BOH? No, the
behavioral health
organization.
organization,
I'll have to-
BHASO.
The BHASO, that's what it's called, is the overarching multi-regional, so it's like Snohomish, Island County, Skagit County, Whatcom County, San Juan County. It's a large region. That group is the one who controls the funding for our designated crisis responders and does those contracts. We've seen in other jurisdictions, specifically like Snohomish County, where they have those municipalities and unincorporated areas, those jurisdictions have come back and pushed back and said, we want to control our own designated crisis responders and control the funding, and that mechanism has been allowed to happen. Skagit County appears to be going through something similar right now, where there is some pushback. So there's been some letters written to that group about our concerns, and I think that we're looking at some change. So either a better response from the group or the different controlling of who, different group to control who's doing the designated crisis responders.
Yeah, Tony's right. Some counties have decided to manage designated crisis responders themselves because of their dissatisfaction with private companies who the state or the regional organizations like the BHASO have contracted with. This is all governed by RCWs, but each organization, each company has their own kind of concerns about liability, et cetera, and so there's nuances within their response. And, the response in Island County has not really been satisfactory for many years in our experience. So yes, we could use a lot of support with legislators and with your body itself, letters of support and others when we move forward, perhaps, with advocating for change in our county in that system.
So will you let us know when there's a concerted effort so that we can participate in that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that possibly from Island County, Oak Harbor, maybe we put together a task force or something like that, or working group where we come up with some ideas of what we can move forward with. I think that's a good idea. Good starting point where we can invite everybody to that. Yep. Thank you.
Mine's not so much a question, but a comment. I'd like to officially thank you for coming and telling us about your services, and just a great presentation. Really good job, and thanks for helping out, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go to item number 4. It's, we're going to open up for public comments. Is there anybody here with us that would like to publicly comment? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go on to number 5, the community survey. I'd like to ask our board if they recall the community survey and if there's any comments on that.
So we passed the community survey out at the last meeting. We are So with the community survey, the goal is to, actually, I don't think we've ever done a community survey at the police department. I know for at least the 20 years that I've been here, or 21 years approaching that. So we're looking at reaching out to the community, trying to get some engagement. This is the Department of Justice's community survey. that has been used standardly through different law enforcement agencies in our state. I think it's a good basis for reaching out and trying to gather some information. Some of the other things we'd be asking this is, do you live in the city limits? Do you live in Island County? Some demographic things like that. We would change a couple of the questions to just being open-ended questions to allow people to give us some responses. Specifically, there is one about, do you feel safe in the community? And then if the answer is no, why? Or trying to gather some information of why somebody may or may not feel safe. Where does this lead us to? Why are we wanting to do this survey? One is we're in a season where we're redoing our strategic plan at the police department. It is a 5-year strategic plan. So I think getting community engagement in that strategic plan is very important and allows us to steer through some of the things that we want to plan for the future. Secondly, I think our outreach, our communication, and the way we receive either notification from the public is important. And I think, as a city, we're looking at how much technology do we add? Do you allow for online reporting of non-in progress or major crime type events like, trespassing complaints or damage or parking lot accidents? Do you allow people to just submit those online so people can submit that any time of day or night? They don't necessarily have to call 911 and wait for an officer, but we need to make sure that the mechanism is allowing our officers to respond quickly to people that maybe are reporting something like a domestic violence incident that needs to be addressed immediately. So, as we steer some of our technology, that's the other piece is, is our community interested in some of those forms and function of reporting? So I'm really looking for the group of, did you have an opportunity to look at it since last month? Is there any comment or input? Is there anything you're wanting to see in the survey? The next step, if you guys are comfortable with this, would be us taking it to city council and advising city council. The plan is to put the survey out, get the city council's endorsement for that, and then distribute the survey. The survey would go to the utility bills for anybody that lives within the city limits, but then we also have some events coming up like 4th of July. So if we have a booth for 4th of July, we'll be able to hand things out. Farmers market, we have the Hydro for Heroes. So we have some different events coming up, and we try to gather that information over a 60-day period is our window we're looking at. National Night Out. That's probably the tail end of where we would, yeah. So about a 60-day window is what we're thinking.
Do you have the localized question specific to our community that designed yet that you want to put onto the survey? The rest of it looks pretty good to me, but I mean.
Yeah, I think the last part I'll be honest, I'm a little ill prepared for this. I had some questions, I didn't bring them with me, so I'm going to say no.
Because council will want those in place before.
Definitely, yeah. Is there any questions from the CAB that you guys would be interested or want to see a response to?
So you said that you're going to disseminate this through utility bills? Am I right? You're just using that information to disseminate it by mail?
Yeah, so by mail, in our utility bill, there'll be a QR code. You can do the survey that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be online as well. We would do it through our social media. I mean, I think we would look at a multifaceted approach on how to get it as much the survey out there as to many people and get as much of a response as possible.
Is there a way that we can ensure we do a booth at all these events and have a card that we can hand out, like the one that Meg did for Community Cares with the QR code on it? I would volunteer to do those booths.
Yeah, I'll say police can't staff a booth. We don't have the budget or the staffing to do that because a lot of times we're running security for 4th of July. We have day shift parade and then a night shift patrol. All of my commissioned officers will be working during that day on overtime on different times. So I know the city is looking at running booths through the Parks Department. So my hope is to partner up with the city. If a CAB member wants to be at the booth, available to help talk about that, we easily can facilitate that.
Okay.
Yeah. And our goal is, I'll just say, our goal is for like the farmers markets and those type of things, if we have staffing, to make sure we have an officer that shows up at those events.
My question is if any of the cab members want to, can we just do it? Because I mean, I go to those events anyways, and I enjoy doing them. They are fun for me, and I had a blast at the mental health one. Like, it was fun.
Definitely. Yeah, we can help facilitate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Chief, you said you have some community-specific questions that would also be added to this survey. Would it make this much larger than it already is?
It would add probably about 5 more questions to the survey. We actually would change a few of the multiple choice questions that are in the survey. For example, like the one, do you feel safe, yes or no, to an open-end, or to a yes or no, and then adding a question of the why
okay.
question and trying to gather more understanding of the reason for that.
Well, I personally think this is a really good start. You know, it's a real good baseline to get the survey started.
This might be a silly question, but hearing how they were going out into the utilities, can anyone fill this out, meaning like they don't have to have a residence, like it's mailed to, like for example,
Correct.
if the people at Spin Cafe wanted to fill this out,
100%.
would that just be like through the QR code or?
So we'll have it available to people in paper form. We'll have it available electronically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be available, and anybody, they could be from out of country, if they wanted to fill it out and they got access to it, they could fill it out, so,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
It might be nice to have as a part of the questions that just maybe the geographical, where are you from? You know, do you live in the? Yeah.
Yes.
But that was actually not going to be my question, just to follow on. Once we've had that 60-day window, then how do the results get analyzed?
Yeah, so we would just tally everything up, and then we would present the survey as it was taken. And then we will, as part of our strategic plan, we would be looking at analyzing what that means and what actionable items we would have. So we would bring that back to the CAB. We would have to take that back to City Council and say, hey, this is the information we're getting, and this is the direction we're pivoting to, or we feel like we're doing good in this role, and maybe we need to communicate that better. So, yeah. I do understand that there is a little risk in going out there with a survey, but I think our community deserves that, and I think that without asking, how do you really know what people are, how they're wanting to be serviced by the police department? So,
Would we be able to utilize businesses, storefronts with QR codes if they're open to the idea? Small ones
Certainly.
downtown, but Safeway, Walmart, Home Depot.
certainly, I think we have a good partnership with Main Street and our Chamber of Commerce, and I think that any of our partnerships that want to help facilitate that, we would seek that. Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. I think I'd like to applaud the courage of asking all of our residents, but I have a feeling it would be mostly positive. So I
Appreciate
wouldn't worry
that.
too much about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to go to number 6. I think we're referencing the stuff that Miss Massey gave us.
Yeah,
and
Can I ask about an actionable item really quick on the
Of
survey?
course.
Do you guys want me
Oh,
to
yeah.
bring back with the other questions at our next meeting? Would you like to have something by email, and then you can give a response? They just all have to go to Meg for the response. You can't go individually, or you just send it back to Meg, and then she collects the responses. So, and then we would put a packet together so that we could take to City Council. The workshop, I believe, is the 26th or the 27th of this month.
26th. When is our next meeting? July what?
Wednesday the 3rd.
July 3rd?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really gonna work.
Yeah, sort of the hope would be to get it out before 4th of July is sort of our goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're looking to do it actionable at council workshop?
I would, it would be, yeah.
Maybe just a show of hands who could do this on the email. We could do it quickly on the email. That'd be fine.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, now, number 6. I think we're referencing what Ms. Massey gave us,
Oh, you did.
handed out to us, our outreach examples, the card, the tag, the name tag, possible name tag. Are you just looking for kind of an approval of these things, Ms. Massey?
We are, yeah. We're
Okay.
looking for your input. Is this something that looks good to you guys? Are you, do you want it in a different format? Again, these are just draft business cards. We'll get actual ones printed up, so they're a little more, Meg did an outstanding job putting this together. But yeah, we'll get some real ones printed. Thoughts? Is this something that works for you guys and you'd be happy with?
Just open it up for comments from anybody.
If I were to receive this from somebody and I see down at the bottom, join us at our monthly meetings, we want to hear from you, I would be less likely to do that than a call to action to reach out to us by phone, by email, whatever, like some more of a, if I felt like I needed to reach out to somebody, I would be less inclined to do it in person rather than hide behind an email. So maybe in the back, we could have, like, join us at our meetings, but I think, isn't the purpose more to encourage people to reach out when they have concerns or questions? And I think a call to action that's not in person would be more tenable.
So where there's an email address, would you like a statement before that that says, contact us by or through or something along those lines, and then the email address?
Yep, absolutely. I would love it. So the join us at our monthly meetings maybe could be on the back.
Okay.
And then if we moved the email address and the website down, then in that space,
Okay.
reach out to us or whatever verbiage.
Side question. How do we get access to those emails? Do we get a copy? Like, does it come, like, I've never seen an email come from this. That's why I'm just curious. How do we get access to that email?
It comes to my inbox and I can forward it out.
Oh, okay.
So the email is a public disclosure requirement, so everything needs to come into that one email account so that we can track all of that through public disclosure, so we don't have to get access to your own personal emails. And then we'll distribute that, those responses or questions.
Okay.
Sorry, another question. And then where it says member at the bottom, we legitimately write our names on there, or is that the
That was the
idea?
thought, because then we could just get a bulk order of cards. However, if everybody wants their own card with their name, we can get individual ones. That's not.
No, I don't think that that's necessary. I think that's a great idea.
You just have to guarantee you're going to do the position for at least 5 years.
No, I think that's just fine. Just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Is the card okay? Was that sufficient? Just as another, it's more,
When is the next Citizen Academy? Because when I was doing the community peers event, a lot of people were asking me, and I'm like, I believe we do it once a year is what I was told right now.
currently we do it once a year. It's a very labor-intensive process for us. I think that in the survey, one of the items that I spoke about last meeting was including, are you interested in Citizen Academy, some of our board positions, some of the things that the city's offering. If we get a lot of input there where people are interested and we can reach out to them, we may schedule one for the fall, but right now it would be spring of next year.
All right, are you looking for like a thumbs up from us on these, Chief?
Yeah, looking for a thumbs up, and then I would just also add that Melinda did do an awesome, it was, and honestly, it was all her idea, was coming out to the Community Cares event that she and Brian Bronstein, that he was one of our employees, but they represented the CAB at that event. I think it was very well attended, and I heard a lot of positive things, so really appreciate you putting yourself out there and suggesting that for the CAB, and Meg and everybody for putting that together at short notice, so thank you.
Was that an official thumbs up everybody gave? Okay.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All right. I think with the minor changes that, that Director Powers was suggesting.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, number 7, a National Night Out update. Do we have one prepared for
So
us?
the National Night Out update is on August 6th. It starts at 4 o'clock and it goes till 7. It will be at Windjammer Park, so everyone is welcome to attend and highly encouraged for the CAB. We are going to have food vendors this year, and we did invite the Dick's Food Truck, but we haven't heard yet that they're coming. Fingers crossed. But I think it's going to be really well attended. There is Langley is actually doing their first year of doing a National Night Out event, so that's great that there will be something on the south end of the island as well. But it is a great opportunity to engage with the public and just have some outreach. So, yeah.
Will there be opportunities for other organizations to have booths there, or is it all the emergency services?
So in the past, what we've done is it's first responder agencies, Department of Emergency Management, behavioral health, sort of our partner agencies that we connect with. We have allowed for like North Whidbey Park and Rec, as long as they're doing like water safety presentation. It's the safety realm is what we try to keep it into. We don't do any booth rentals or no political campaigns or any of those type of things. But we try to keep it in that realm of safety for the community, safety and education. But we allow like our partners with the military, so they will be there with Army, tanks and MRAPs and all that good stuff. Dogs, Navy, Coast Guard.
Will we be burning a house or shed?
I don't know. They have the opportunity to. So I know that the state fire inspector brings their sprinkler trucks. However, the last year that got canceled. So there is the opportunity for all those agencies to bring their fun toys and show those things off.
Is this something that CAB can attend as a whole, like, so people can meet the CAB board too?
Yeah, so I think our hope is that we'll have your name tags by then, and I think we're getting shirts done up or some sort of apparel that you can show up wearing that gear, walk around and engage with the public. There's not a booth. Really, the hope is really to mingle, and I think through that you get some good engagement.
Okay.
Very well. I think I can speak for everybody when I say we're looking forward to it.
Good.
Look,
It's the first Tuesday in August, the 6th. Yep.
all right, looks like item number 9. Chief, do you have an update for us?
So, Raquel, is this the, oh, where am I at now? National Night Out, department updates, community resolution ordinance. So that all was taken to city council and it was approved. And so because of that, we were able to get Marty Malloy on the CAB committee and as part of that change. So thank you guys very much. And that was well received, and it brought the police advisory board in line with the other boards and commissions for the city. So that was good. Otherwise, for a department, we're running pretty lean right now, and I'm excited to introduce you to our new captain at our next meeting. So he'll be starting on July 1st. His name's Kevin Barton. So, yeah.
Very well, and I'd like to extend an official welcome to Mr. Malloy to our board. This is a return for you, isn't it?
You're sitting in my chair.
Excuse me, sir.
Territorial.
I was the chairman when we dissolved at pre-COVID, so that was, anytime you, well, just let me sit down. Or
Very well. I'll let you use a hammer once in a while.
I have a question for Chief Slowick. In reference to that fatal accident, I understand that the knucklehead ran away from the scene. Did they catch him?
Not yet.
Killed
But-
somebody
but
and ran away?
I-
Ah.
It's an ongoing investigation. I would love to comment about it. So it's currently an ongoing investigation. That's, detectives are letting me know of some of the things they're doing. So I've got several staff on right now trying to continue with that, so.
All right, thanks. Looks like we're to number 10, and I'd like to open it up now if any of our board members have any comments or last-minute questions.
So I went to the business meeting, where did you go to?
One I wanted to go to.
So learned a lot. It was really, really interesting, and the officer that held that, I thought, did a fantastic job. I completely walked into that thinking that it would be very contentious. I know that local businesses are very concerned about the location of Spin Cafe and the crime in that area. It was really encouraging to see how they were working together and advocating for one another, cooperating on potentially getting cameras for the area. I really learned a lot. I just wanted to say that it was great, and probably I'll go to the next one. if I
It was
can.
Sergeant Bilesma that was,
Sergeant
he
Biles.
attended for me at the meeting.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He did a good
Well,
job.
thank you for going. I'm glad we had a presence there.
It was great.
When is the next one?
So we don't have one scheduled just yet. We're getting into the summer and school's ending, so we get pretty busy with things. And once we determine a date, I will pass that out to everybody, or I'll have Meg send that out. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I actually do have a question. More recently, taking it down to Pioneer, the incident that just happened with Popsies. I know back, I don't remember exactly what month it was, but when you had introduced yourself as being the new police chief down at Rustica, you had said that you were looking into getting cameras registered on that street. Has that been done yet, out of curiosity?
So all the cameras that are on the street that people have installed, we're aware of those and we have access to them, or the property owners do give us access. So we are good with that. We are in conversations. When I say I've had several conversations with different council members about ways that we can improve that. I've talked with Main Street Association on, is there grant opportunities or what things might be. Some of the challenges you get into when you talk about surveillance, if it's owned by the city, we now have public disclosure requirements, storage requirements, and some of those things can bring a good cost to the city. And so we're looking at ways, how can we get a technology out to business districts that maybe can be funded through a grant that they install, that part of that grant, they allow us to have access to the video, but it's their product, so they don't have the same storage requirements.
Okay.
Yeah.
This morning we had the Oak Harbor Main Street promotions meeting, and that was one thing that had come up, and we had discussed, is there a possibility of finding a way that for the small business owners down there, helping them find a program to get maybe help with surveillance cameras? Because a lot of them can't afford them themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just wondering if maybe there's a resource that I could extend to other people and tell them, hey, like, this is where you guys can go.
We don't have a program for that just yet. I will say that there are, the State Department of Commerce does offer different grants at different times. And we have a grant coordinator for the city. I can ask her to keep an eye out for those type of things. Yeah, I think that's what I could comment on right now. I know that
Perfect,
we are
thank you.
looking at different creative ways.
Okay.
All right.
Just to reiterate, the challenge is the city, if the city takes on that responsibility of putting surveillance anywhere within our community, it's literally public request information, it's public information, it has to be maintained, secured. It can be requested by anybody from anywhere at any time, and those requests cost the city quite a bit of money in order to produce. And so, not that the city would be opposed necessarily, but I think I'm not going to speak for council, but I know that it would be a hard sell to get them to fund cameras in those areas for that purpose. My suggestion would be to encourage Main Street and the Chamber of Commerce to partner together and look for grants themselves that can help those small businesses.
So I think that Sergeant Biles told us that there was some portable camera system that could be used under certain circumstances.
We
Is
do have
that-
an Arlo system, so if if a business does have sort of repeat crime that is going on, we will take that camera system to that location. It could be a private location as well. If they have Wi-Fi, that's the caveat to this. We sync into their Wi-Fi and then we capture the video. It is for investigative purposes. It's not to just be installed at a location. So I'll talk to Margaret. I'll come down and we can do a presentation down there at Main Street again and have those conversations. I know that there is a lot of interest in what some recommendations might be. So, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Number 11 looks like we get to determine our future agenda items. Is that the intention there?
That's correct. I think we're planning on our school resource officer presenting at the next meeting. And then we are talking about scheduling everyone for virtual reality training or sessions outside of our normal meetings. So our school resource officer was available during the summer, so his schedule opens up quite a bit. And it is more, he does run our virtual reality system, so it allows us to have a little more flexibility there. So the goal is to invite you in, and if you want to get into the VR system and run through a few scenarios and just get some experience of what our officers go through for our training. And then I guess we're opening it up to, do you have other items that you would like to see for August, or, I don't know, do we want to do a meeting in August if we're doing National Night Out? Is there, I don't know.
I personally would like to keep the meeting in August because it's the date after National Night Out, and then that gives us a chance to reevaluate how the event went and what we could do better or what we did great.
Good idea. We can make that an agenda item to actually discuss. And
When's council
Talk
in
about
August?
them.
Is it going to be that Tuesday, or did we move it because of National Night Out?
We always move it to, the next Tuesday.
The next Tuesday, we didn't move it to that Wednesday, okay.
And the reason it's
Just
not-
wanted to make sure.
The reason, yeah, the reason it's not on Wednesday is the concert series in the park. That was the reason. Yep.
all right, sounds like we want an August meeting.
So long as we're done before 6, so we can go enjoy the music in the park.
And the July 3rd date is a good date for everyone. It is right before the 4th of July.
For most of them, maybe, not me.
Not me. I have a booth down there. I'll be setting up. Sorry.
I will actually be on a prearranged vacation, so I will not be making.
Would it be better to push it back a week?
It sounds like you might not have a quorum.
Hence the reason to push it back a week.
Yeah.
So the 13th? I'll be back by the 10th, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to be on vacation, first one in 15 years, thank you, from the 2nd through the 11th of July.
Thank you. All right, well, show of hands, who all would be here for the 10th? That's good, that's enough? 10th. Okay,
And that's the SRO presentation potentially,
Yes.
which is
all right, let's move to the 10th.
So moved.
I second that.
Thank you. Passes and officially moved to the 10th.
I actually have a quick question. I was looking over our meeting dates and time sheet that was given to us last meeting, and it says in September, Wednesday is the 3rd. I think that's a typo. I think it's a 4th. Thank you.
All right, if there's no more comments, I'd like to adjourn the meeting at 5:23.
I make a motion that we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Meeting adjourned at 5:23.